Today, we will review the Sample Demolition Work Write-Up, which is one of the sample documents for voluntary buyout or acquisition programs. A hyperlink to the Sample Demolition Work Write-Up can be found on the Texas General Land Office website at recovery.texas.gov. To locate the document, go to the Local Buyout and Acquisition Program resource page, which is linked below in the description section of this video. Scroll down to the left side checklist section to the supplemental documentation and click on the Sample Demolition Work Write-Up link. Once you click on the link, your computer will download the fillable document. Please note, you will need a PDF reader to view the sample document. Subrecipients are responsible for documenting the properties to be demolished and managing the project demolition budget based off the information collected on the properties. As information becomes available about the structures to be demolished on the properties, subrecipients should be estimating demolition costs and taking that into account when determining property eligibility. Properties with high demolition costs that are outside of the project budget will need special consideration by the subrecipient in determining if there is enough money in the budget to acquire and demolish the property. At this point in the program, demolition contractors may not have been procured. Therefore, subrecipients can create a general estimate using a demolition work write-up or cost estimate. The GLO has provided a sample demolition work write-up that subrecipients may alter to meet the program's needs. Please note, this is a sample document. Subrecipients must update the line items and any other areas necessary to meet the program's needs. For this video, we will use a fictional applicant and subrecipient to demonstrate how the form can be used to estimate demolition costs. To begin, subrecipients will need to create their own form in Microsoft Excel or Word. Subrecipients should place the form on their own letterhead. The first section of the form should include information about the subrecipient, GLO contract number, and program type in order to identify the program. You can see in the sample document that there are spaces for each of these. Our fictional subrecipient is Rango County. Also, in the first section, the form should identify the property and applicant that the work write-up is created for. Then the first section should identify the name and contact information of the demolition contractor if the demolition contractor has been procured. If the demolition contractor has not been procured, this form should indicate that in the first section. In the next section, the work write-up should begin to calculate the costs that will be involved with the demolition. The sample document suggests splitting up the costs between abatement costs and demolition costs. However, the subrecipient can design the work write-up as best benefits their program, as long as all of the relevant costs are included. As the site-specific environmental review is completed on the property to be bought out or acquired, abatement or mitigation activities may be identified for the property. These additional demolition activities will require additional costs and budgets to properly dispose of or abate the hazards identified. All of the additional hazards found should be split out by item, as can be seen in the sample document in the description column. Then for each item, it should contain a detailed description of the mitigation measure required, the quantity that needs those mitigation measures, such as number of items or square feet to be mitigated, the costs per item or square foot, ensuring that the costs include labor and not just the disposition of the hazard, and the total cost per item to be mitigated. As you can see from the example, the fictitious property had lead paint identified during the site-specific review. An additional budget has been added for the replacement of soil fill due to proper abatement of lead paint. In addition, the property contains another hazard that will need proper abatement and removal. The property has a 100-gallon above-ground storage tank with petroleum that will need to be properly disposed of. An additional $1,200 has been added for that disposal. The section should then contain a total for all abatement costs, as can be seen in our sample form. Next, the work write-up should include all estimated items involved with the demolition of the property. Any additional demolition items should be identified and the cost estimated. As you can see in our example, there are several items on this property that will need to be demolished and removed in addition to the standard demolition of the home. These will all possibly be additional costs to the demolition, and the subrecipient needs to include them to estimate the proper demolition costs for the property. The subtotal was calculated for demolition costs so that the subrecipient can factor that into their eligibility decision. Next, the document should total up all of the sections of costs, such as abatement and demolition costs, to give the final estimated cost for the demolition. Finally, there should be a final section for the subrecipient to sign that these are the costs that they are estimating for demolition at this point in the program. The GLO understands that these are just estimates and are subject to change once the demolition contractor is procured. We hope you enjoyed this training on the sample demolition work write-up. If there are any additional questions during the completion of the form, subrecipients should reach out to their General Land Office grant manager. Additional videos covering the other required local buyout and acquisition forms are or will soon be available at the same location you are viewing this one.